and that is the sound of victory. And if you're a Washington Capitals fan, you heard that sound 3 times, and you were extremely happy every time it won, because the Capitals have won Game 3, and the next game is going to be in Washington. They're up in the series, and you are watching me because you want a review. Now, I know what you're thinking. This guy probably doesn't know anything about hockey. It looks like he's broadcasting from his mom's basement. He's ugly. It looks like he didn't shower. Let me tell you one thing. I know my hockey. And I know it doesn't seem like it, but being born in Canada, I am bred with hockey. My name is Mecca Matt, and this is my review of Game 3 of the Washington Capitals and the Vegas Golden Knights. So overall, I'm going to be honest, pretty boring game. When you look at, say, Game 1, that was extremely entertaining, goals flying everywhere, this one was a bit more reserved, and it was a bit less competitive because I found Washington dominated most of the games, even though you might be looking at the score 3-1, it looks like a pretty close game on the surface. But if you go in depth, like I go in depth, it wasn't that close a game. So what happened? Ovechkin, he started off the scoring, scored a beautiful goal, kind of reminded me of Bobby Orr with the way he flew in the air, but obviously less importance and symbolism, but still a very beautiful goal, and celebrated in fashion only Ovechkin could. Next off, we got the Birdman, Kuznetsov, and he took his time for the shot. And Kuznetsov is a passer. I think he fooled everyone when he actually took the shot, and he put it right under Fleury's arm. Beautifully placed shot. And I like Kuznetsov. I'm not like Don Cherry, who's, him and his Russian players. I like Kuznetsov, but I'll tell you one thing. He needs to cut out the celebration. This isn't the reason why I like hockey so much. This isn't basketball. This isn't football. This isn't baseball. This isn't water polo. I can't name any other sports, but this isn't any of them. I don't like when my players over-celebrate like that. And when you do the flapping your wings around like a little chicken, it makes me like you less, Kuznetsov. So great player, great playmaker. You need to cut out the celebrations in case you're watching me right now. And actually, when you think of playmakers on the Washington Capitals, everyone constantly, they think of Backstrom, him having played years with Ovechkin, being the setup guy. This is a personal thing. I think Kuznetsov is a better passer than Backstrom. This is how high I think of Kuznetsov. That guy makes passes, and it gives me orgasms. Some passes, I see it on TV, and I just, because the skill on that kid, he's got great skill. Moving on, Holtby, the team's up 2-0, and he goes and gives the puck such a beautiful gift to the other team. I'm surprised there wasn't a ribbon on the puck. And he goes and gives it away like that. But listen, we're all human. We all make mistakes. The important thing is to not do like LeBron James and chew out your teammate in front of the whole TV, in front of the whole world to see. You need to pat Holtby on the back, tell him everything's going to be okay, breastfeed him if need be, and then move on with the game. Because, hey, we all make mistakes, okay? Holtby made a mistake. He gave the puck away. It didn't matter because Smith scored. My good old friend Smith Smelly. He scored a beautiful goal off a beautiful setup by Jay Beagle, who I find looks like John Travolta. The whole game I was calling him John Travolta. Well, Smith Smelly scores. And I got to say, I love this player. He's got size to him. I love a player with size, and I don't mean that in a sexual way. I mean it in a physical way. He bangs, he crashes. If you want to win a playoff series, you need players like that. And same goes for Wilson, and same goes for Reeves, who albeit had a very silent night. He wasn't that dominant tonight, Reeves. I wish, and maybe it's because the coach played him a bit less, but Reeves was a bit silent tonight. But as for Smith, who scored, and Wilson, who was hitting everyone out there, Wilson was a human wrecking ball machine. And I always said with Wilson, you know, some players have the size and you never see them hit. It's because they don't have the speed to get to the other player to hit him. What makes Wilson dangerous is that he does have the speed. He can catch up to the player and level him. And no one on the broadcast I was watching saw it, but he absolutely decked William Wild Bill Carlson. And, you know, and hits like that for the opposing team, it wears you down over the course of a 7-game series. You start feeling it in the morning. You think when he hit Marchero, you don't think he felt that the next morning? Because he did. I called him. We're good friends. He said he felt it in the morning. So next off, I wanted to talk about Smith Smelly, the hit he made on Fleury. Now, he had goalie interference. The goal was waved off. Smith obviously looked very angry, and he was yelling at the ref. Now, I know I just complimented him a lot. I don't see what he could have been arguing about. He jumped in the goalie's head. He didn't just pass by him and touch him. He jumped into his head. This is textbook goalie interference and then some. And during the commercial break, Fleury gave a little shot to Smith. And you know what Smith did? He kicks his stick. And in fact, all game, I was seeing opposing players snatch sticks out of the other guy's hand and throwing it away. It made for some very good entertainment. And by the way, as you can see, I'm wearing a Mighty Ducks jersey. I didn't want to be biased. I didn't want you guys to think this guy likes Washington, this guy likes Vegas, this guy likes this, that. I'm biased. I like the Mighty Ducks. And they technically don't exist anymore because they're just the Ducks now. You see, I like something that doesn't exist. Story of my life. So I'm not biased. I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan. You know, my team sucks shit. I have zero interest. I have zero incentive for this series. I'm giving you an unbiased opinion. So moving on, what does Vegas have to do to get over this horrible defeat, this heart-crushing defeat to the Washington Capitals? They were humiliated in the Washington Capitals barn with Pat Zajac calling the starting lineups. They were humiliated by Pat Zajac. Well, what do they have to do next game? It's simple. They have to play Vegas-style hockey. And you know what that is? It's working 150% all the time, the full 60 minutes. You don't take a break. Because, let's face it, they don't have any major superstars. Yes, Carlson had 40 goals. You know, Marchessault's a very important player. They don't have an Ovechkin caliber player. They don't have a Kuznetsov caliber player. They don't have a Backstrom caliber player. On defense, they don't have a Carlson, who, by the way, was a horse. He's been a tank all playoffs, and no one gives him credit enough. And going into free agency, he's going to want $8 million. And I think he deserves it. Very underrated player. You know, good in all aspects, offense, defense. He's just been their quarterback. Well, Vegas doesn't have a quarterback on defense. You know, they don't have that big stay-at-home defenseman or that offensive dynamo. They have to work hard to win games. And to their credit, that's what they've been doing. And that's why they're in the finals today. So going into game 4, they have to bust their ass and they have to be physical. I want to see Ryan Reeves. They show Ryan Reeves. The camera goes to Ryan Reeves on the bench. He looks like he's daydreaming. Look at his face. He looks like he's daydreaming. Stop daydreaming. Get your head in the game. Start hitting people. I want to see big hits. Because you look at the Washington side, Wango, hits left and right. Wilson's a bowling ball or a wrecking ball, whatever. He's hitting everyone. Skill's important, but hitting wears them down. Oh, I wanted to touch on the James Neal hit on Brooks Orpik. Now, I have a beef with Jim Neal. Great player, okay? He has good skill. He has good offensive capabilities, a good shot. I've never been a fan of him. I find he dives, I find he has a reputation of being a quote unquote, pardon me for my French, a bitch, and he leveled Brooks Orpik with a textbook reverse hit. Brooks Orpik goes for the puck. James Neal shields the puck and hits him with all of his back. And Brooks Orpik was winded. He laid down on the floor. Everyone felt bad for the guy. It almost brought me to tears. I felt so bad for Brooks Orpik, lying there on the floor injured. As a parent, I would have been worried for Brooks Orpik. And I would have maybe baked him a pie after the game as a consolation prize. Well, I don't have a problem with the hit. It was a clean textbook reverse hit. What I have a problem with is James Neal not answering the bell after the Washington players came to defend Brooks Orpik. Because if you look at the replay, James Neal purposefully ducks on the floor and starts turtling, and he goes on the floor to protect himself. You're going to act tough and throw hits. You be ready to answer the bell. And that's why I'm not a fan of James Neal. Now, Fleury. Fleury's been great all playoffs. And for those of you who don't know, Fleury was a first overall pick in 2003, I believe. I'm not sure on that, but I do know he was a first overall pick, which nowadays you never see that with a goalie. But in the day, they did it. And I think this whole playoffs, he's shown why. He's kept them in the game. When they faced Winnipeg, who was by far a superior team, Scheifele, Wheeler, Laine. Well, who kept them in the games? Marc-Andre Fleury. And his save percentage was ridiculous before this Washington series. He was standing on his French head, and he kept them in the games. And now, well, let's face it, he's having a bit more trouble against this Washington team. I know they have a history. Washington knows Fleury pretty good from the Pittsburgh days. Maybe they know some of his weakness. Maybe they know some of his strong points. They scouted him properly. But he doesn't look as solid. I want to see the Winnipeg Fleury. And the goals were not his fault. He couldn't do anything, But I don't necessarily see him stealing the games like he was doing against Winnipeg, like he was doing against San Jose. But you can't rely on the goalie. This is a problem Montreal has with Carey Price. You put your eggs in one basket. You can't expect your goalie to win a cup for you. It's not a one-player thing. It's too hard. It's too much pressure. You need to do a team game. You need to have a system. And Vegas has a system. And I believe they can bounce back from this. So what are my predictions? What are my expectations moving forward? So my predictions before this series. I'm not inventing it now, today. It was before the series. I said Washington in 5. I don't see Ovechkin. Let's talk about Ovechkin for a bit. When we say Russian players are lazy, Russian players don't care, they're not intense, I think Ovi, which is the case for some, it is a stereotype because they've gained that reputation. But Ovi contradicts all of that. You see him on the bench, the way he celebrates. Let's talk about the emotion on the Capitals bench. Now that's some emotion. That was more emotional than some of the Nicholas Sparks movies and books. Great author. But that was some good emotion. I liked it when Smith Pelly scored and the whole bench was hugging each other and they're into it. And Ovechkin's the leader, and he's been a leader. And he's always been a leader. I never bought it for 1 second when they would blame the losses on Ovechkin and blame all of the playoff misfortunes on Ovechkin. It's not his fault. It's a team game. I just finished saying it. You can't single out one player. Yes, he's your best player, but he always plays with his heart on his sleeve. And I'm a fan of Ovechkin, And he's playing like a kid despite looking like a 70-year-old man. He's playing the best hockey I've ever seen him play. But back to what I was talking about, my predictions. So I said Washington in 5. And for next game, Washington's going to win again at home. Pat Zajac, he's going to be happy. He's a happy season ticket holder. Well, he's going to be even happier after the win. And it's all the way from there. So my name is Mecca Matt. This was my review of Game 3. Please like, subscribe, comment if you have anything you agree with, anything you disagree with, any insults. I don't mind, as long as they're constructive insults, something I can improve on. Maybe if you gave a compliment, an insult, then another compliment. It's called the sandwich method, where you don't just give an insult, you would also give compliments, creating the schematic of a sandwich. And if you like it, I can make more videos like these. I know I don't have all of the technology, I'm not one of these millennials who spends days on their phone in the technology. I just put on my computer, I talk. I don't even have a microphone stand. I look like a Bob Barker who forgot to shower or shave, holding the microphone like this. So if you like these videos, I could do some if anything interesting happens, anything I want to talk about, the draft, free agent frenzy. More videos to come in the future. Mecca Matt signing off.